1160, 8:13 in the morning. And Indiana County District Attorney Bob Manzi is in the studio with us this morning. Our conversation brought to you by Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. You can also watch the DA on Facebook, our Facebook feed. And good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm well. How are you today?
Just terrific. One of the things I wanted to ask you about right off the bat, though, National Night Out last night. You were a part of it. What was it like?
Oh, National Night Out last night at IRMC Park here in Indiana Borough was fantastic. My hat's off to Chief Justin Shaw and Officer Andrew Perry for organizing the event. It was a beautiful night here in Indiana Borough. We had members, and I hate to list them because I feel like I'm going to miss somebody, but we had the Indiana Borough Police, we had members of the IUP Police, IUP Public Safety, the cadets, we had my office, probation was there, the Pennsylvania State Police were there, multiple units. We had the Game Commission, we had the parks. The parks were there with their boat. The Game Commission brought their bear trap. The fire department was there.
Yeah.
And we had, for hours, we had members of the community with their children coming through and great conversation, a really pleasant time to get to talk to people in the community when it's not an emergency situation or they're not dealing with a very stressful situation at that time.
That's a very special night, too. Very nice night for it.
It was a super nice night, and I think it gave a glimpse to the people who appeared and came to see everyone. At one point, the fire department had a call, and all of a sudden, we hear a radio chirp, and in less than 60 seconds, the members of the fire department are in uniform, truck rolling, went out to a car fire, handled the situation. They were back in about 15, 20 minutes. And back with playing with the kids in their little fire extinguisher booth, it was great. But just to see that professionalism, I'm glad other members of the community got to see it. I see it in my office every day, but that's happening throughout our county all the time.
That's terrific. That's see them in action just like that. All right, so National Night Out last night. Meanwhile, within your office, within the county courthouse, there's a lot going on. You've got trials going right now. You've got some personnel changes too, don't you?
We do. Personnel changes. I want to, first off, share the gratitude of the county and our office to Senior Assistant District Attorney Pam Miller. Attorney Miller is returning to primarily private practice after 37 years of serving this county.
Wow.
I couldn't even begin to estimate the number of cases, the number of trials, preliminary hearings and motions that she has seen throughout her career. When I took office, I went to her and said, I need you at my office. I need, your experience and your dedication to the office. And she's returning to private practice now. It is certainly a loss for the county. She was a great member of the office.
What an asset.
Yeah.
My goodness, to have that kind of experience and to know exactly what needs to be done in all of these situations because she's seen it all.
She would see it all, and we would pull out a file, and we would have a defendant that's maybe been around for a while, and she would immediately begin to talk about, 10 years ago he had this case, 20 years ago, his dad had this case. I mean, but she's a fantastic part of the office. She's going to be missed.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced I won't be calling her and asking her questions. But she'll be returning to her primary private practice, so she's still practicing.
What are you going to do when she's on the other side?
I don't know. That'll be an interesting experience.
Yeah, she might know too much, but of course she would have. And within the legal profession, we know this: when people, in this case, switch sides but take on another role. Their previous involvement with the case, you found this out when and you knew this when you took office. Involvement with another case or with your law firm with another case, that often precludes your having or being able to participate in a current case.
Yes, if you have any involvement in a case or with a defendant or even other members of your office, then by law you have to pull yourself away from the case. So in my office, when I came into office, we shifted a number of cases over to the Attorney General's office. So it's not that the cases go away. They just get prosecuted by a different office.
Yeah.
Currently, we still have the Price homicide case. And that's being prosecuted by the Attorney General's office. because when I was in private practice, another member of my office was court appointed to represent a different defendant in that case.
Yeah.
So the law requires that happen. And we take it seriously in our office. If we ever have any type of case in which we believe there's a conflict, a legal conflict in that there was some previous representation by ourselves or by a member of our previous office, that case will go to the Attorney General's. And that's a legal requirement that we take very seriously.
And in that Price case, of course, that's not gone to trial yet, and it's at the appellate court level for pretrial rulings. So
that's correct.
That's one that's still on the books. But there are trials going on at the Indiana County Courthouse. You've got the schedule running pretty much full steam ahead.
We do. We have a trial starting next week, and then in a few weeks after that, the week of the 23rd, we have the February 14th shooting here at IUP that occurred last year for Dayron Real. And then we also have the jury trial starting for Dylan DeLessio, and he has eight files will be going to trial that week on arson charges.
Yeah.
So, we're still going full bore with our trials and moving cases forward. Those cases need to happen. Unfortunately, due to COVID, there's been some backlog and some time that needed to be taken because we couldn't have jurors in there safely. Now we can do that, and we're going to be moving forward on those cases.
Without going into details on the DeLessio case, because we certainly don't want to force you to say something, and you wouldn't say something that might compromise the case in any way. But it illustrates for us how complicated cases can be, and investigations and new information, how they will change charges, how they will add charges, how processes must be followed. That's really been a case that has been winding through the courts, and we get those from time to time. And it does take a while and really an extra amount of focus and concentration to make sure everything's right before you actually get into the courtroom, doesn't it?
Absolutely. If we don't do it correctly the first time, we're going to have to do it again after an appeal. So we take all of our cases very seriously. In that case, we have multiple cases that we have asked the judge to consolidate for the purpose of trial so that we're able to do multiple indictments on one trial. But that is correct. You have to go through discovery processes and motion processes and make sure that it's all done correctly by the book, because otherwise we don't want to jam a case through just for the sake of getting it done, because we know that after an appeal we're just going to have to do it again.
We're talking to Indiana County District Attorney Bob Manzi this morning. State Police reporting today. I think there were 9 on today's report, but it's every day we're getting reports of unemployment benefits fraud, people having their identities stolen. The state issued something last week that said that this is really the culmination. These thieves have all of a sudden decided we're going to go after them now, but it can go back as far as 15 years ago that somebody's identity was stolen, and they've been holding on to that information, and now all of a sudden they've sprung into action. I'm sure your office is following all of this, the cases as they come in. The investigation process is really, really difficult to unfold, and folks are really, I think right now they're a little bit afraid of what might happen to them and whether or not they're going to be victimized. What should people be thinking about and doing right now?
People should be thinking about how do you protect your identity, whether it be when you have materials coming through the mail, even if it's junk mail. Take a look at it. It might be notification that somebody tried to use your identity for something. Don't be looking at your credit cards, be looking at all of your various credit reports online. Keep up to date on them. Protect your identity when you're, actively being online. Protect what information you're providing out there to anybody. No one's going to call you and ask you for your social security number. Nobody's going to, when someone's calling you and asking you for that type of information, hang up. Mm-hmm. And if you ever believe that you're the victim of an identity theft, even if you're unsure, notify the police. Notify your credit reporting units, because you want to stop that as soon as you can. The unemployment scam, we're dealing with over the last month. I've personally had someone very close to me have their identity stolen for that purpose. So, I'm helping them in that process. But being able to keep up to speed on what you have out there. And if you have accounts, if you have items that are out there that you just know you don't use, they just happen to be out there, close them up and just get rid of them. the less information that you have out there, the safer you're going to be.
Yeah. One of the things that has always been a puzzle to me is how often organizations, retailers, others will ask for your Social Security number. There are specific protections against you having to use your Social Security number. Are there not?
There are now. I'm not exactly familiar with them offhand. All I do know is I don't provide my Social Security number.
Right.
It's something if someone ever asks me for it, you're not getting it unless it's a very specific item. If it's my employer and so that I can get paid, if it's a credit card or a line of credit I'm opening, and I know exactly where it's going or what the purpose of it is. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I do not provide Social Security numbers, date of births. That information like that is the information that people are looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, most of the thefts are happening electronically now. You think back to the days 10 or 15 years ago when we were still using carbon paper on your credit card and slipping it across there, and we were just taking that carbon and throwing it into the garbage can. What a bonanza that would be today.
They would have certainly just taken a trash bag out of there, and they would have had a frenzy.
They'd had a field day with it. All right. Anything else we need to know from the county district attorney standpoint, the courts, and everything that's going on right now?
I always just want to share with everybody in the community, just like that National Night Out last night, we were talking to people. This is our community. This is our county. So if anybody has information that they want to share with law enforcement, with my office, especially with regards to drug trafficking or other crimes, child abuse, having that information provided to law enforcement is incredibly important. Law enforcement is not standing on every corner in every part of the county. So please be the person that shares that information so that we can look into potential crimes and hopefully stop them before they go any further.
He is District Attorney Bob Manzi. Thanks for coming over to visit with us.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You too. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160.